This is Anne-Marie Leake, Vice President of Communications for ePayResources. Welcome to the Payment Space. Today we welcome Crissy Terry and Amber Schweiger from ePayAdvisors. Crissy is Vice President of Payments Consulting, and Amber is Director of Payments Risk and Compliance. Welcome, Crissy and Amber.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking about the hurdles of DIY when it comes to your audits and risk assessments. The DIY mindset is a huge part of our culture, in large part because of a cost savings it can represent. But is it the right approach, especially when your institution's compliance and risk management are at stake? So Crissy and Amber, let's start with the basics. What is the difference between an audit and a risk assessment?
That's a really good starting question, Anne-Marie. So while we perform risk-based audits, and I believe most people do take that risk-based approach, it is important to understand the difference between an audit and a risk assessment. So the purpose of an audit is to conduct a detailed examination of the organization's operations, procedures, and compliance with regulations. A risk assessment is designed to identify, evaluate, and manage potential risk associated with that environment. So risk assessments include an established inherent risk, which is the risk without any controls applied, right? So it's just going to be the risk that we have simply for having that product or service. And then financial institutions implement controls that help mitigate those inherent risks. And then finally, you'll see a residual risk that is an indication of how well those controls are working compared to that inherent risk.
Thanks, Crissy. So let's ask the question, are audits and risk assessments required?
Well, from a regulatory perspective, it really just depends on the specific audit or risk assessment. For example, the NACHA operating rules that govern the ACH transactions requires an ACH audit annually to be completed by December 31st of each year. The NACHA rules also require a risk assessment to be performed. While the rules do not specify how often the risk assessments are required, the industry standard is every 12 to 18 months.
There are also other payment audits that aren't required by regulation. However, it is an expectation from most regulators to ensure the safety and soundness of the financial institution. So just as a quick example, wires and mobile deposit audits, there's no regulatory requirement for those types of audits to be conducted, but there is the expectation in the industry that these payment channels are evaluated to make sure that there are no gaps in compliance or policy and procedures are being followed appropriately.
Great. Thank you both for setting us straight on that. So we're talking about the advantages of using outside experts to conduct audits and risk assessments. What are some things that you as ePayAdvisors evaluate when you are conducting audits and risk assessments?
So our primary focus really is about those internal controls. With audits, we conduct testing of those internal controls. And in risk assessments, we evaluate the policies and procedures against the risk that we've identified in the industry.
And also, we have found some financial institutions conduct audits by inquiry only. Audits should take a trust but verify approach, which really means testing should be conducted to ensure that everything is being processed, like Crissy said before, according to policy and procedure and rules.
Yeah, Amber, that's a really good point. I've seen several audits where inquiry only was conducted as the audit. So basically what occurred was there were audit questions developed, and the auditor literally went to the person handling this specific payment channel and would ask the question, hey, are you doing this? So in the case of ACH, the example might be, are you returning entries within the return time frame? And the person being asked this question would simply say yes, because they know that's the correct answer. When there's no testing conducted, then you don't really know if those answers are true. And like you said, Amber, that trust but verify approach isn't being conducted. So testing actually does confirm if procedures are being followed and if regulations are being complied with.
Great points. So, what do you think are some of the challenges financial institutions face when they conduct their audits and risk assessments internally? We've talked about that inquiry only approach can present challenges. What else?
Well, unfortunately, we've noted that one of the biggest challenges is a lack of resources, which is why that inquiry only approach is most common when it's a DIY.
Yeah, Amber, that's a great point on the challenge of resources. I do truly believe that the individuals who are doing that inquiry only aren't doing it to not be honest or conduct a thorough audit or risk assessment. It really is just because they don't have the time with their day-to-day activity, juggling multiple projects. We all know how that goes. I think another challenge is just the lack of experience. So as a note, every ePayAdvisor has obtained their accredited ACH professional certification, that AAP, and many of us have other certifications related to payments, which is what I think gives us the upper hand on being able to conduct audits and risk assessments successfully and make sure that we've truly evaluated each of our clients' environment.
I completely agree that that lack of experience is a challenge and also expertise. So when you combine all those with a lack of resources, they come up against risks that audits that have required timelines to be completed could possibly miss that deadline.
And that can potentially create a whole domino effect of impact, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Anne-Marie. I mean, we're hearing more and more, specifically in the ACH world, of institutions being asked for their annual ACH audit and they haven't even completed one. And again, I think it goes back to lack of knowledge in some cases where they didn't realize that that was a requirement annually, which is why it's so great that we partner with our membership base so that we provide that level of education and then those ePayAdvisor services so that we can help them when they are lacking the resources to be compliant with those regs.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about the ways that ePayAdvisors can help.
Sure. So we offer payments related audits and risk assessments. So as I mentioned before, we have the expertise. Not only is every advisor accredited with their AAP certification plus additional certifications, but all of us also have prior banking or credit union experience. So we're able to truly relate and understand each of our clients' positions. And then because of our experience and our expertise, we are able to complete the engagements timely and ensure that everyone is meeting their regulatory obligations.
That's right. We offer regulatory required audits and risk assessments, such as the ACH audits, risk assessments, and the RTP audits. We have an instant payment risk assessment, but we also offer wire, mobile check deposit, merchant remote deposit capture audits and risk assessments. We have FedNow, Zelle, and Regi audits. And on top of that, we also provide consulting services, which are completely customizable and they cover anything payment related. Some of our common requests involve process reviews of ACH programs to include ACH origination. We assist with creating an ACH origination program. We have instant payment readiness and wire operation process reviews.
That's fantastic. And I think the key to emphasize is that it's customizable. And if folks don't see what they're looking for, they just have to ask, because chances are ePayAdvisors will be able to help in some way.
Absolutely.
And you listed a lot of new services for 2025, which we're going to go into more depth in a future podcast, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Wonderful. So if someone needs to contact ePayAdvisors, what's the best way?
So anybody can contact us at info@epayadvisors.com.
That's pretty easy. Thank you both for your time today and sharing with our members the importance of having that outside expertise to conduct their payments audits and risk assessments. I know that Crissy, you and Tracy Merritt, the Senior Vice President of ePayAdvisors, will be presenting more on this topic at ePay Connect in March.
That's right. I'm pretty excited about that presentation, and I look forward to seeing all of our members there.
If you haven't registered yet, just go to epayconnect.org and do that soon. Crissy and Amber, thank you so much for your time today. This was really helpful. As I mentioned, we've got some other topics planned with you guys for this year. I think our members are going to find a lot of value in that. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.